Greetings. In this video, I'll be presenting some strategies for working with audience and constructing audience in your communications. Tony Robbins said, to communicate effectively, we must realize that we're all different in the way we see the world and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others. This really gets at the constructed nature of experience and the fact that our perspectives have a big impact on how we will receive messages or communications. So I'm going to be talking a little bit in this video about why it's called constructing an audience, why I use that word constructing. I'll be explaining when is a good time to construct your audience. And then I'll be providing you with 3 questions that you could use to guide an analysis of your audience to help you in understanding your audience better. So first off, why use the word construct when we're talking about understanding our audience? The word construction actually refers to an idea called constructionism. And this is a philosophy that describes the way that people see the world and meaning as being composed of many factors. These factors include our different goals, our expectations, our beliefs, assumptions, culture, and education or professional experience. And all of these factors go into how we are understanding the world and how eventually, in some cases, we're going to be receiving a communication and how we're going to be making meaning of that communication and eventually doing something about that information. So the audience we construct is a composite of these factors. Our construction of the audience isn't going to be complete like a structure, like a house that's finished at some point. But it will be more realistic to think of it as an ongoing project. We're continually trying to deepen our understanding of the different factors that are influencing the perspective of our audience, who also might be our stakeholders. So when should we go about this process of deepening our understanding of the audience, of constructing the audience? It's going to be extremely important at the beginning of a project to understand your audience's expectations, because that's a really crucial stage to get on the same page with your stakeholders, for example, and understand what their expectations are and explain what your expectations and goals are and try to figure out how you can all work together to accomplish those goals. And then continuing analysis is also going to be important. It's going to be important for each communication to understand what the audience's expectations are for that specific communication, to understand what the purpose of the communication is for that specific audience, and what their expectations are. It will also be important to determine what that context will be for the communication. Are there timelines, for example, that need to be expressed or communicated within the document that are going to be important? And analyzing your audience and figuring out what they're expecting, what their goals are, is going to help you to make some of these decisions about, for example, the context, the content of the communication. And understanding the context of the communication is also going to help go back and inform what you know about what those goals of the audience might be. These are all sort of factors that are interrelated. So here are some questions that you can use to go about analyzing your audience to help guide your process of understanding your audience. What does my reader or listener need to know? What's their motivation, right? What do they think they need to know? Also, what do you think they need to know? Those could be 2 different questions. What assumptions can I make about what my reader or listener already knows? What assumptions that you may not know it, but it's pretty safe to assume about what they already know. go ahead and figure that out and use that information too. What's the best way to make my reader or listener understand, believe, or accept what I have to say? What kinds of persuasive strategies are going to be the most effective? For engineers, writing technical documents, logical evidence supported by data is often the answer to this question. Remember that purpose and genre need to be thought of at the same time because they're interrelated, and that should be developed along with considerations of your audience. You also need to use the audience analysis to break these questions down and answer different facets of each one depending on what you know and what you need to know. So these questions are really just a loose guide that you can use, but that you should tailor and make appropriate or adapt to your own purposes and documents. Here's a kind of a cute cartoon. It says, "I don't have the data you requested last week because I didn't know how you wanted it formatted." And he says, "You could have asked, that's only obvious in hindsight. Why does everyone stare at me that way?" So this cartoon gets across the importance of communicating about expectations in order to make sure that communications are actually effective. And finally, I also like this little cartoon. It illustrates what we're talking about. And the lady says, "I'll need to know your requirements before I start to design the software. First of all, what are you trying to accomplish?" And he says, "I'm trying to make you design my software." "I mean, what are you trying to accomplish with the software?" "I won't know what I can accomplish until you tell me what the software can do." "Try to get this concept through your thick skull. The software can do whatever I design it to do." And then they just look at each other. "Can you design it to tell you my requirements?" So you see the sort of circular logic that can take place in an interaction where neither party is really willing to do the work of clarifying their expectations and aligning expectations between the two parties. So this is one of the big challenges of the work you're going to be expected to do when you're developing your communications. Thanks very much, and good luck with connecting with your audience.